Hi, hello, I'm MDA and welcome to my YouTube channel. So, I haven't done a video like this before on my channel and I wish I had done it sooner. I actually have a few of these I plan to do. Um, but this is a book recommendation video. These are not cosplay specific books. I only have a couple of those and they're mostly photo books at the moment. I do plan to get more at some point. These are actually older sewing books. They're just general sewing. They have great advice. I have used them for quite a while. One book I've actually used less because of how I specifically focus in my sewing. So I'll get into those. I'll admit right now they're pretty old, so if you can find a copy or you can find something similar or even an updated copy, good on you, because I've had my copies for probably 10-15 years and I bought them secondhand, so I wish anybody good luck in trying to find these now. So the one book, first up, is a Teach Yourself book by Isabel Horner called Dressmaking. You can you can see the age by the type of cover it is, as well as the pages are very yellowed, so it was pretty old by the time it came into my possession. The book I was referencing when I said that I haven't used as much as the other two because I don't do a lot of dressmaking in my sewing. It's a good book. If you can find yourself something similar, I highly recommend getting it. Let's see, what is this? First printed in 1939, so the original printing of this is getting to be 100 years old. That's wild to think of. But my copy is printed in 1973. And in here, it even goes over your equipment. So it talks about your sewing machine, your needles, even the thread, paper patterns, materials and linings, foundation stitches. This book is actually really good for your foundation stitches. For such a small book, it has a fair bit of information. And the text is, I want to say, average size. How to do buttonholes by hand. And the fact that this is actually showing you how to do a handmade buttonhole instead of doing it by machine, like most modern sewing books will tell you to do. And for me, I prefer my buttonholes by hand. I hate machine sewing a buttonhole. Hands up if you have ever been personally offended by a buttonholer on a sewing machine. It even says about doing full shirts, bishop sleeves, raglan sleeves, literally different kinds of sleeves, how to finish hems. Like, what more could you want in such a small book? It even has about doing pockets, collars, and cuffs. These are fantastic, and I need to start looking in this book more, actually, because I haven't used it a whole lot, like I said. My second book recommendation, there's 3 total. I just looked at it now. It was originally printed in 1950. The copy that I have was printed in 1977. So I'm not kidding when I say that these books are old. So the second book is called Sewing Made Easy. You can tell its age strictly by cover alone. It's very 1970s in its cover. This is the 4th revised edition. It's probably got a much more updated version by now, maybe. Like the dressmaking book, this has quite a bit of knowledge. It's a bit more thorough, and it covers more than just dressmaking. This covers a lot. Let's see. Even it has buying your pattern, altering the pattern to suit the figure. So it's telling you how to alter your bought patterns to fit your body. It even says getting ready to sew, how to handle certain kinds of fabric. Most people don't know about these things. Using interfacing, underlines, linings, putting your dress together. Yeah, it says putting your dress together, but it is more than just putting dresses together in here. Dealing with deep pile and fur fabrics. Trust me, As somebody who has dealt with faux fur, faux leather, shag, velour, those are a bitch to deal with, and I wouldn't wish them on a new cosplayer. I've not really looked at the beginning part very much. It's recommending having seam rolls, pounding blocks, these extra little bits and bobs that most people think, oh, I don't need this for my sewing. No, I highly recommend getting certain things. Highly recommend this book or something similar to it, because you don't need necessarily step-by-step guides on how to make the individual costumes. Having books like these, and the one that I still have yet to show, are good building blocks so that you can start to teach yourself how to do those things yourself. I don't think these necessarily teach you how to make the patterns yourself, but they're a good building block so that, say you go to your local fabric store, for me it'd be Fabricland or Fabricville, depending on which side of the Ontario-Quebec border I go to, and you start flipping through the patterns and you see, oh, this is so close to what I want to make. Right. And then they don't buy the pattern. You can modify patterns. There's nothing that says you have to follow that pattern that you bought to a T. There's nothing that says you can't modify it. Not just to fit you, but to be what you want it to be. And books like this give you those building blocks to do that. This is even telling you, this actually tells you how to modify the patterns to fit you better. And once you understand how to modify patterns to simply just fit you better, you can modify patterns to be whatever you please. This book even has a few embroidery stitches just to give you ideas of simple decorative pieces that you can... This even has a spot for quilting and smocking. I definitely recommend this book. So my third and final book recommendation for this video is actually from a sewing machine company that everybody in the world knows, but I don't know if everybody knows about this book. And I reference it fairly often. Singer's The Complete Photo Guide of Sewing. I don't know if it's so complete now, but 1,100 photos of how to do different things. So this one is much newer than the previous two. This one was first published in 1999. And this is a first edition. So this book is 25 years old. There's probably, like I said for the other two, probably more recent updated versions with more information, updated techniques, probably even better photos. It goes over sewing machines and sergers and the things that you need for those specific machines. Essential equipment supply, so special things, notions, things like that. Your patterns. It even tells you how to read the pattern envelope. Different kinds of fabrics, because working with a knit, so something like this that has stretch and is made to be a t-shirt, you're not going to want to use that for making something like a wedding dress. It's going over all the different things, and I think it even says about, it actually says about how to lay out patterns on stripes and plaids so that you can pattern match. As for the techniques, general guidelines for pattern adjustments, doing your seams, darts, gathers, sleeves, collars, waistbands and cuffs, hems, closures, even sewing activewear, even doing tailoring. Most people don't think about doing tailoring, and honestly, tailoring is like... it is my favorite thing to do for sewing, is tailoring something. That was the thing I loved most about my Charlie cosplay, even though, yes, I need to take that in greatly, but it was also my favorite thing about my Neuro cosplay, because I made a properly made men's suit jacket. This even has about doing home decor things, such as windows, top treatments, pillows, different dart techniques. Maybe I should have looked at this book when I was making Sword Fighter Peach, because I never made a dart before. But, like, different ways to do darts. I've heard so many people say there's like 1 or 2 ways. No, apparently there's more than just 1 or 2. It even says recommended stitch lengths for different materials. This one is for furs and suedes and leather. I knew about the machine needles, wasn't as aware of the stitch lengths. For the most part, I use the same stitch length on everything. Unless it's a really fine material, then I use a smaller stitch. This is definitely a section I need to pay more attention to, and it's the tailoring section. So these are my 3 old book recommendations. These are just to help you get building blocks of what you're doing. Sometimes if you want more specialized information. Honestly, this is perhaps my favorite of the 3. I've used it the most between the 3 of them. But obviously you can get books that are dedicated to specific things. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of books that are just about tailoring, a lot of books that are just about ball gowns. Actually, I think Cabot Crunchies is the one that did a cosplay ball gown book. But yeah, there's lots of options. But these are my suggestions just for your building blocks. And these have been very good for me for the last, like, almost 15 years. I'll be back in the future with more sewing book recommendations, and let me know what you think about these 3, and if you have your own old book recommendations, I'd love to check those out. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye! But you can also tell I've experienced some issues with this book.